Hey guys, Agent of Doubt here, world's worst SJW, worst edit anyway. And this week, talking to you as a mental health professional with an opinion, because, all week I've been hearing about Britney Spears from all of my clients. The recording of what she said in court to the judge has gone everywhere. It's gone viral. Everyone's heard it. And there's been some upsetting clips of it that have made the rounds, especially the part where Britney Spears has an IUD in her against her will because her care team, led by her father, thinks that that's necessary. But I've been aware of the Free Britney movement for a very long time. I've known about the conservatorship and whatnot, and it's been kind of like a conspiracy theory club here on YouTube and on TikTok, where people have, from time to time, picked up on certain tidbits of what she said, and even made a lot about the songs that she has put out there, and tried to read into the meaning of the songs having something to do with her conservatorship. I don't believe that, but it's a possibility. I mean, artists draw inspiration from many places, but definitely, there's a long history to this, and for me, it starts with the meltdown-ish phase that Britney Spears had decades ago, where there was the umbrella attack and the fight with paparazzi and head shaving. Which then went on to get lampooned in a parody version in videos and movies even. It's become part of our cultural zeitgeist to know that Britney Spears has that child actor syndrome where people just aren't right if they are exploited when they are young. As entertainment. She was, before all that, she was, a teenage pop star, but also before that on the Mickey Mouse Club alongside Justin Timberlake, and I would say when we all saw her kind of losing it, it reminds me of a lot of other artists in a similar vein, and she's been called the Queen of Pop. Well, if you looked at the King of Pop and how he was also a child music star, and then later in life was seen to be very strange, and have some different proclivities. It doesn't seem too far-fetched that sort of environment would cause mental health issues, So, when I listened to the message that she gave the judge this week that was leaked, I felt like I was listening to somebody who was a little bit more put together than I expected, given all that has been said about her in our culture and all that we've lived through with her. But I felt it was very well put together as far as an argument against her having a conservatorship. Problem being, it wasn't a hearing that was going to be able to lift her conservatorship because there was never a petition for that. She just had a moment to be able to speak to the judge, and she decided to utilize that moment, all the time that was given to her. She knew she had a certain amount of time. the judge is like, slow down, and she's like, no, I gotta fucking say everything that's been on my mind. And so all week I've been asked by a lot of people in real life about my feelings, my opinions on this, and I would say, to me, what stood out the most was the IUD thing. That somebody would be denied their autonomy, their ability to make decisions about their own ability to procreate and have a family. That's pretty restrictive. That's very, very restrictive. I mean, hearing that she's allowed to have a boyfriend but not allowed to have like overnights and is restricted to like $2,000 a week when she's making millions. All of that stuff seems really, really restrictive for somebody who is able to hold themselves together for that sort of a statement to the judge for that long. Now, we're only seeing like one side of the story here, and I'm a little wary of just taking her at her word, given the things that she did say in her statement, because we don't see what's in her actual medical records or treatment records that might have been even worse episodes, worse things that might have happened that were kind of kept confidential. Maybe all we got to see was the umbrella attack and, the head shaving and problems with paparazzi and whatnot, and meltdowns with certain people. And we didn't see the full extent of it. We don't know what other things might have been happening at treatment centers, happening at home that never made it out to the public, right? So if I'm just going on what she said in that statement, I'm a bit horrified, because it does seem like the idea of the least restrictive measures that it would take to help someone live their best life has just been thrown out the window. These are like extremely restrictive measures, to the point of inserting an IUD into her. That is just extremely over the top, in my opinion, as far as like what should be done to restrict somebody's life. Oh my goodness. But it goes beyond that. I felt listening to her that it was kind of analogous to legalized sex trafficking or the slave trade, where she was saying that she was being forced to work excessively, 7 days a week, and went on tour against her will, and that they told her that they were going to sue her if she didn't. And I'm like, what? People need to be able to have the autonomy to decide, I don't want to work. And if you have millions of dollars, you should be able to make that decision. You know what? I'm tired this whole year. I want to take off. I don't want to work. And if you don't want to work 7 days a week, if you only want to work 3 because you're rich, you should be able to make that decision. That's part of autonomy. And the fact that her whole team that has been put over her with this conservatorship has not been respecting her autonomy is just really bad. Really, really bad. And again, I don't know the whole story. I only know what I'm hearing from her on that recording, but I'd say she's making a pretty good argument for reclaiming her own life decisions. And I wouldn't want to be the clinician getting the ethics complaint to wherever their license is, based on what she was saying. Unfortunately, with the way that her father, Jamie Spears, was put at the head of her conservatorship, she's in this strange place where she's paying for the lawyers who make legal arguments against her wishes. And that's just a horrible, horrible situation. And so she thinks it's, fraudulent. And also those lawyers, they, in the billing, put in that they would be, having to do like press conferences. And so like they were going to take money from her accounts to pay for themselves for press conferences, where they would be making the arguments against her being able to have her freedom. That's some bullshit right there. And wow. I would say her ability to enunciate, her ability to prepare that giant statement, whether she had help or not, it sounded like it was all coming from her own heart, her own wishes, and just her ability to deliver it for that length of time tells me there's something wrong here. She does not need a conservatorship. Her ability to work through all of those years and make millions also speaks to the overreach of placing a conservatorship on her. It's really troubling. She talked about lithium for a bit in her statement and said that if you go too long on it, then you're going to have like irreversible effects. I don't know that that's true about lithium, but I will say that a lot of clinicians do not realize that lithium is not the treatment of choice for a lot of people, because rather than just take away the symptoms, it takes away the ability to think at all for many people. It just kind of makes them a vegetable, like a walking vegetable. And so I've had many of my own clients say that they tried lithium, and although it did help with the symptoms that were annoying everybody else, it also kept them from being able to think themselves, and so they didn't like it, and they went off of it. So I'm not surprised that she would also not like lithium. It's a very strong medication when used for certain things, and being that it was lithium, and lithium is usually for like major depressive disorder or bipolar disorder, and I don't know what her actual diagnosis is, and I wouldn't diagnose her over this video, but it says to me that if they went with lithium, then they're dealing with a certain subset of things that they diagnosed her with. And so that gives me a little bit more context into what's going on. But not liking being on lithium is not strange to me at all. That's something that I have heard many times in my very short career. That she felt like if she didn't agree with people, that she would be medicated as a punishment. That is a horrible thing for her to be feeling, that she could not trust her clinicians to be on her side, and that is not the way that medication should be used. I've seen it in pop culture, like in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and movies where if somebody's not being tame enough, then they'll be over medicated by the nursing team at a residential center. But those are usually movies about the horrors of overreach from the clinicians. Those are about trying to show people that should not be done. And so to hear from her that she felt that was happening to her, that if she tried to say no to things like working 7 days a week, that she would be medicated as a punishment, that's just horrible. And I felt like it was a great part of her argument that she should be out of this conservatorship. Just feeling like her clinicians are controlling her decisions rather than helping her. That's just they've lost all the rapport that they should be building with her, and they've made her feel like she has no autonomy. When I heard that she didn't like having therapy 3 times a week, in my specific field of addictions counseling, like if I hear that somebody's going to therapy 3 times a week, I'm thinking, well, that's the ASAM level of intensive outpatient therapy, right? One thing I can tell you about the people who usually go through intensive outpatient therapy and anywhere I've worked is they're not working 7 days a week. The reason why they have enough time to go to that much therapy is because they don't have a job. And to see somebody going through an intensive outpatient level of therapy while working 7 days a week, that's unheard of. That is her having her entire schedule managed for her in a way that's so regimented that I would understand why she would feel like she was being slave traded or trafficked, because she had no ability to control her own comings and goings. You know, every moment was prescribed. So yeah, that is super restrictive, not the least restrictive measures, and we're supposed to, as clinicians, look to what's the least restrictive way to be able to help this person live their life. So yeah, I'd say what doesn't look good for Britney is one that we've only heard the one side, and 2, the fact that no petition has been submitted to the court to end the conservatorship, none of that's been filed. That tells me that maybe her own lawyer is either thinking that it wouldn't work, or is in cahoots with the opposition. You know, somebody should tell her, like, if you don't know that you need to file this bit of paperwork, you know, before you make arguments like that to end it, then maybe you should. Maybe someone should tell her. But yeah, maybe her own lawyer doesn't think that it would work because he knows what the other side has. He knows that other side of the story, you know, that we don't know as the public. The fact that she wants to skip any further assessments from psychiatry, that also says to me that maybe there's something more to this story than she was saying in her statement. Yeah, she makes the argument that she's done enough assessments and she's done enough psychiatry. She's through with, she's done with them. But maybe if somebody doing that assessment, if it was a new person just coming on to do a fresh assessment, if they were handed her charts from the past and they went through it, would they also be swayed to thinking, no, maybe we need to keep with this conservatorship because there's something in there that she doesn't want the public to know, even her own family doesn't want the public to know, but maybe there's something she did or some outbursts that she's had over the years that we don't know about. And so she doesn't want another assessment because they would also have that information when they were making their judgment as far as what level of care she needs. That, to me, it looks a little bit suspect. Also, I will say that the desire to sue her family and put them in jail that she stated in her statement, it's possible that that is what needs to be done. That is the reality of the situation. But maybe with the court, it helps as an argument, but it does not help with what clinicians are going to see. Because as somebody who's worked in a detox for many years, I've seen many a Patriots fan get put into the quiet room and be banging on the doors, trying to break windows, smearing feces all over, and screaming, "You are violating my civil rights." I've had many lectures from people who were screaming about, you can't hold me when I'm this drunk because you're violating my civil rights. And I've had many clients say, when I get out of here, I'm going to start a lawsuit and you're going to lose your license and I'll have your job. And it never happened. Not one of them. The YouTube equivalent here is the lull suit. I've had many lull suits threatened and none happened. And to hear her say that she wants to sue her family and put them in jail and put all of her clinicians in jail, I'm like, if they actually were acting in good faith, they're not going to get put in jail. If they were acting unethically, then maybe. But what's the more likely scenario here? And does that look good for her? That vengeance fantasy that many other people who are in her situation would have. And I don't know. To me, it was another little red flag that, maybe I just don't know the whole story. Maybe those clinicians know something that she hasn't said publicly, that hasn't come out publicly, and they were acting in her best interests. But minus seeing any of that information, I would have to say that she made a pretty good argument for having less restrictive care and that the conservatorship is not warranted. I thought it was very telling that she is not allowed to visit any state where the conservatorship style that she's under is not allowed. So she's allowed to go to Vegas. She's allowed to go to Nevada, California, and Louisiana, but her handlers are able to keep her from being able to go to a state where she might be able to apply for a different style of justice being applied to her. That's very telling. So, I hope this all works out for the best for her. I definitely hope it works out better than any of the other pop culture icons that we've had in our lifetimes that we've lost. And definitely I am going to be, in a couple decades from now, looking forward to the Lifetime special where we get to see a lot more information about what was going on in this moment. From the hindsight perspective of, having all the facts put out there, and something else is going to leak, I'm pretty sure. Those are my thoughts on this. Hopefully we have less stories in the future of pasty white men making decisions about the reproductive rights of women. that IUD thing, that just kind of sticks with me. Talk to you guys later.